What's going on, guys? It is Panjano here, and today I'm going to bring you guys the ultimate FPS increase guide for Modern Warfare. With inside of this video, we're going to be showing you guys how to achieve the very best FPS possible for your machine, how to tweak and optimize your machine for better performance to reduce stuttering, lag spikes, and helping you guys achieve the best playable frame rate so you can focus more on enjoying the game and having a competitive edge over other players, rather than sitting around worrying about performance issues. This video is going to be tailored towards absolutely everyone, regardless of what sort of system specs you're running on, whether you guys are running on ultra low end hardware, ancient hardware, all the way up to the latest and greatest in gaming hardware. Regardless of your system specs, this video is going to be allowing you guys to achieve the very best possible FPS on your machine. If you guys are happy with the results of this video, please do leave a like on the video as it helps me out tremendously, alongside leaving any results, questions, queries, or suggestions in that comment section down below, as it is always fantastic to hear from you guys. And if you guys do enjoy my content, please do consider pressing the subscription button alongside the bell notification to be notified instantly of whenever I upload. With all that being said and done, let's get straight into the video to keep this as fast and as informative as possible. So to kick things off, what you guys need to do is navigate into the description down below, and within the first few lines you'll be finding two download links. The links provided will navigate you over to the FPS increase pack, which has been provided. Simply click on the first link. If for any reason you're having any trouble downloading that or it doesn't work, try out the second link, download the file and put it onto your desktop. The file should be called Modern Warfare FPS by Panj. This is going to be the folder which contains all of the configs, optimizations and other things we're going to be using to boost our FPS in one nice, safe and convenient package. Now before we can open up the file, there's one thing we need to do, and that is to actually right click on the file on the desktop and select the extract here option. If you guys don't have the extract here option, you guys will need to navigate over to Google and either Google 7-zip or WinRAR. You can get either of the programs, it doesn't matter which one you go for. Once you've got one of those programs installed, right click and select extract here. After you guys have selected extract here, you'll then be given a folder in your desktop with an identical name. Now before we jump into the optimizations, we're going to go ahead and actually apply one of the most important steps within inside of this entire video. For this, we're actually going to be enabling a system restore point. The reason we're going to be setting up a system restore point is so that you guys can come in here safely and easily and follow along with all of the steps, and if for any reason you don't wish to keep them or wish to revert your PC back so none of the changes have been made to this exact moment before you follow the guide, you can do so easily and quickly. This also means that if you apply any settings and your PC doesn't agree with them, or you run into some weird performance issues, you can simply revert back with a few clicks of a button. It's highly recommended that you set up a system restore point before continuing on to make sure that you're on the safe side of things, just in case anything goes wrong or you mess up any of the steps within inside of this video. It's also incredibly handy if you just want to give these a try, see what the performance gains are like, and if you want to turn them off, you can go back to your system restore point. Navigate to the bottom left hand side of Windows. Once you guys have clicked on the Windows button, simply search for System Restore, just like so. Navigate to where it says create a restore point. With inside of here, go to the system protection tab found here at the top. And what we're going to be doing is going down to the available drives. With inside of available drives, scroll all the way down until you find your local disk C drive. This can also be called system. Just simply look for the C drive. Once you've found your C drive, go ahead and highlight it. Make sure that you go down to the bottom right hand side to the configure tab. Go on to turn on system protection. Come down to the maximum usage, and you can set this anywhere between 1% all the way up to around about 5%. I'm personally going to be going with around about 1%. Once you guys have decided which you're going to be going with, press apply. Press OK. Once you guys have configured your C drive, go ahead and click on the C drive once again, then go down to the create button. At this point, simply name the restore point anything you might remember, so we're just going to be calling this Modern Warfare Backup, or anything that you'll remember, and press create. After a few short moments, the restore point will be successfully created and you can go ahead and press close. You can then go ahead and press OK, and at this moment onwards you can proceed completely safely. You can try any of these settings and apply all of them at your will, and if you don't like them for any reason, you can simply revert back to the system restore point we just set up. So let's jump straight into the optimizations. For the first optimizations, what we're actually going to be doing is installing our customized, optimized Modern Warfare configs. To do this, go into the FPS pack provided by double clicking, go inside of the configs folder, and you'll be met with a high end, low end and recommended config. With inside of here, you want to be going into the folder which best matches your system specs and the overall results in which you're looking for. If you guys are running on ultra low end or low end PC, go with the low end config. If you guys are looking for a recommended config for medium end systems and competitive gaming systems, and you want a competitive edge with inside of the game, which turns off a lot of the visual candy but leaving you with a decent looking game but more tailored towards FPS and lower latency, I'd go with recommended. If you guys are looking for an FPS bump but you want most of the visual candy still enabled and a great looking game, go with high end. For me, I'm going to be going into the recommended config, and with inside of there you'll be met with a config CFG file. To install this, it's very simple and easy to do. Drag this to the right hand side, navigate to the bottom left hand side and go to your documents with inside of Windows. With inside of your documents folder, scroll all the way down to the C section and look for the Call of Duty Modern Warfare folder. With inside of here, go inside of players, and at this point, if you want to make a backup of your current config, if you wish to reinstall it, you can simply drag this onto the desktop. At this point, navigate over to the right hand side to the optimized config with inside of the FPS increase pack and drag this into the players folder in your documents. Now before we close out these folders, it's important that we also take ourselves over to the players folder and find the ADV options config file found here. Simply double click on the config file, it will open up with inside of Notepad. Starting off with the video memory scale option. This might need to be different depending on your system specs. First of all, I'd recommend setting this to 1.0. If you run into more stuttering than usual or you're still getting weird lag spikes, you might want to try a value of 0, 0.10. Try either of those values, come back inside of the notepad and change it if necessary. For me, I'm going to be sticking with 1.0. That now brings us on to the renderer work account. To find out what you're going to be setting this to, it's very simple and easy to do. Navigate to the bottom of your screen, right click on the taskbar and go to Task Manager. Within inside of Task Manager, go over to the Performance tab, click where it says CPU and look in the bottom right hand side. We're going to be looking for cores and logical processors. For the amount of logical processors your system has, as you can see mine has 8, we're going to be setting that to the renderer work account. So if you have more than 8 or less than 8, your number will more than likely be different to mine. But I have 8, so I'm going to be setting 8. Once you guys are done with that, go to File and Save. At this point we can then go ahead and actually X out of both of those folders, as we've now successfully installed our optimized configs. And if for any reason you wish to revert back to your original config, remember it should still be on your desktop. This now brings us on to application fixes for the game exe itself, which can drastically help with any stuttering you might be experiencing and give a slight performance uplift. It's highly recommended that you follow along with these. To start off with these, simply go into the Battle.net launcher, head over to the options menu within inside of Modern Warfare, and click Show in Explorer. Within inside of here, simply go into the Call of Duty Modern Warfare folder, scroll all the way down to the bottom and we're going to be looking for the launcher and the game exe itself. To start off with the launcher, go ahead and right click and go to the Properties tab. Following on from there, go to Compatibility found here at the top, disable full screen optimizations, click on Change High DPI and override the high DPI scaling behavior. Press OK, apply and then OK. We're then going to repeat those optimizations for the game application itself. Right click, Properties, Compatibility, disable, change high DPI, override, OK, apply and OK. At that moment we can then go ahead and actually exit out of that folder, as part 1 of the exe or application fixes has been applied. For the second part of those fixes, what we need to go ahead and do is actually navigate into the FPS pack provided, go inside of the optimizations folder and go into the MW process priority folder. Within inside of here you'll be met with a few keys. What these will do is simply by clicking on one of them, this will change the boot priority mode within inside of the game automatically every time you boot it up. So if you select MW high priority, the game will boot in high priority within inside of Windows every single time. If you go above normal priority, the game will boot in above normal. Or if you wish to revert back to the stock Modern Warfare normal priority. At the moment the game defaultly boots in high priority mode and sometimes this does cause performance issues. So for a lot of you guys running on 16GB RAM systems or lower, I'd recommend actually going ahead with the Modern Warfare normal priority. Selecting yes, yes and OK. Sometimes this might not work, so you might need to manually come back with inside of Task Manager and change this yourself. I'll show you how to do this later on, but feel free to experiment around with most of these options. But for now, unless there's anything edited on the screen or in the description saying otherwise, I'd recommend going with normal priority. This now leads us on to some very important optimizations for the Blizzard or Battle.net launcher itself. Simply go ahead into the Battle.net launcher. Once inside of the Battle.net launcher, navigate to the top left hand side to the Blizzard logo and scroll down to the settings cog. Inside of here, go into general, and what you're going to want to do is copy all of my settings within inside of here, besides the language. You can leave this as default. Make sure that this option at the top is unchecked. Allow multiple instances is unchecked. When I X at the top of the window, we're going to be setting this to exit Battle.net. When I launch a game, exit Battle.net completely. Scroll all the way down to the bottom to the advanced settings and turn off use browser hardware acceleration when available. At this point we can then go ahead and restart Battle.net. For you guys running on Nvidia graphics cards, simply right click on your desktop and open up the Nvidia control panel. To start off with inside of the Nvidia control panel, go to the Adjust Image Settings with Preview tab in the top left hand side and select the middle option for Use Advanced 3D Settings and press Apply on the bottom right hand side. With inside of here then go down to the Manage 3D Settings tab on the left hand side if you have these options available, and we're going to start off by actually enabling the image sharpening option. I find this to be absolutely fantastic and it's only enabled for higher end graphics cards. If you guys are running on a 1080p display, I'd recommend turning this on, and if you have the option available, some of you might not, definitely enable the GPU scaling option. This will allow you guys to run lower end resolutions that will actually upscale to 1080p or whatever resolution you're using completely natively, so there's no more of that unnecessary blur which you'd get from running lower resolutions. I typically find these settings of 0.50 on the sharpen and 0.16 on ignore film grain to be perfect. You might want to change these settings around, but I'd recommend keeping them like this. And press OK. At this point you'll want to pause the video at the different points of scrolling down here and simply copy my settings. The only thing I would change is the low latency mode. If you guys are running on a ultra old or low end graphics card, you might want to turn this off. Otherwise keep low latency mode on. Scroll all the way down, make sure all of these have been checked as well. Obviously your OpenGL rendering GPU might not be an RTX 2080, but inside of here just simply go into the drop down menu and select the graphics card you have installed. Scroll all the way to the bottom, copy all of these once again. Once you guys got all of those settings set up, go to the bottom right hand side, press apply, and you're then good to go. That now brings us on to the step in which we're actually going to be booting into the game and going into the settings menu. So simply use your preferred method to boot into the game, whether it's through the launcher or a shortcut. Once you guys have booted into the game, simply take yourself to the bottom left hand side and click on the options menu. Inside of here, we're going to start off with the display mode. Make sure that you set the display mode to full screen, as this will give you guys the best performance and will typically boost FPS by around about 10%. This now brings us down to render resolution. This is one of the most important options to furthering your FPS. For those looking to get the very best visual fidelity possible, you're going to want to keep this at 100%. For you guys running on medium end systems and you're not quite getting the performance you want, I recommend setting this to around about 89%. For you guys running on lower end systems, I'd make sure that you set this all the way down to 66. Also, do note that you can click on the advanced menu down here and change the display resolution to something lower. You can go all the way down to 800 by 600 if you wish to do so, as this will drastically help performance and it will render the game lower than what you can get with 1080p. As you can see, the lowest with 1080p at 66% we can get is actually 1267 by 713. So if you guys are looking for the best FPS possible on ultra low end systems, go into the display resolution, start off with going by 800 by 600, applying that, looking what it looks like in game. If it looks too bad, go up a resolution and continue to do that until you find your fine balance of low resolution and FPS. Every other option inside of here, which we're going to be skipping over, if I don't mention the option, simply set it to anything you wish to do so, as it does not affect performance. Sync every frame, VSync is going to be switched to off. Custom frame rate limit. I'd recommend setting this to unlimited if you want the best FPS possible, but I would recommend for the stability of this game, assuming that FPS, regardless on what sort of system specs you're running on, can sometimes fluctuate, I recommend setting the custom frame rate limiter to something that matches your refresh rate. Nvidia highlights is going to be disabled. Text resolution is going to be set to normal at the highest regardless of system specs. As always guys, if you guys do want the best FPS possible, come inside of here and turn absolutely everything to the lowest setting possible. But for you guys that went with the recommended config and you have somewhat decent hardware, text resolution should be set to normal at the highest. Texture filtering anisotropic can be set to highest at the highest. Particle quality low. Bullet impacts disabled. Tessellation disabled. Shadow map resolution low. Cache spot shadows. For some of you guys watching this video, you'll actually find better performance having these two enabled. So enable both of them, see what the performance is like. Disable both of them, test it again, and you'll more than likely find that having enabled will give you guys better FPS. Particle lighting is going to be switched to low. Ray tracing off. Dynamic objects MDAO I found can actually be enabled, as this doesn't really take away from any FPS but does add some slight visual candy. But again, turn this all the way off to the lowest if you want the best FPS possible. Anti-aliasing is personal preference. I personally prefer having it set to off, as you will be getting an FPS bump from this, but some people can't stand it. At the highest I go to is SMAA 1 times. Depth of field should be turned off. Filmic strength, I found that setting this all the way up to 1 actually provides better visual fidelity. World motion blur disabled, weapon motion blur disabled, and film grain all the way down to 0. Again, if you guys want the best FPS possible, turn all of these options off and down to the lowest possible. Once you guys are done with inside of there, press apply. I've also found that coming into the general tab, and I recommend going down to the skip introduction movie and actually enabling this option to skip that horrible loud introduction movie. Scroll all the way down once again, and I'd recommend coming down into the content filters, the disembowelment and gore effects, and actually disabling these if you guys want the best FPS possible. This will mute some of the gore effects, and that's absolutely fine in terms of FPS, and it does reduce visual clutter with inside of the multiplayer. But again, if you want this enabled, keep it enabled. At this point we can go back to the main menu and quit to the desktop. Assuming that we've now completely set up the game and applied all of the configs and optimizations to the game itself, it's now important that we apply the most drastic optimizations within inside of this entire video, which will really start to bump up your FPS. To start off with these, what we're going to be doing is navigating into the Modern Warfare FPS pack provided, going inside of the optimizations folder, and navigating inside of the reg optimization fixes. With inside of here, once again, this is the main option we've set up our system restore point for. If you guys haven't already set up the system restore point in which I recommended you did in the beginning of the video, I'd highly recommend once again scrolling all the way back and setting up that system restore point if you haven't. Most of these optimizations within here should be absolutely fine for everyone watching, but if for some reason your PC doesn't like these settings, a restore point would be recommended to stay on the safe side. I've yet to know anyone that's had problems running these, but just to make sure, as a safety precaution for yourselves, it's always fantastic to have that and to have the peace of mind. So to start off with these, what we're going to be doing is going to disable DVR1, selecting this, pressing yes, yes, and okay. Going down to disable DVR2, yes, yes, okay. Then going down to the full screen fix, yes, okay, and apply that once again. After that, then going down to the game optimizations, applying that optimization, and that now leads us on to the low to medium end optimization and the medium to high end optimization. You're only going to be clicking on one of these optimizations, and you want to click on the one which best matches your system specs. If you're running a low to medium end system, click on this one. For medium to ultra high end systems, like the one I'm recording on right now, go with medium to high. Double click on the optimization you're going to apply, and apply that once again. If for any reason after this you want to restore all these registry entries back to the default values, go inside of the default value registry edit and simply apply all of these, and this will change everything back to how it was at stock. Once you guys have applied those optimizations, go ahead and exit out of the FPS pack. Proceeding on from there, for any of you guys running on Discord, whether you have the application open in the background or you're actively talking to people, if you're a Discord user and you play Modern Warfare, you should apply this fix regardless of your system specs. So to apply this fix, go into Discord, go to the bottom left hand side to your user settings. With inside of the user settings, scroll all the way down on the left hand side to the appearance tab. Once inside of the appearance tab, scroll all the way down to the bottom to the advanced section, and we're going to be looking for the option titled Hardware Acceleration. Go over to the flicker switch. If this is turned on, switch this to the off position, press OK to the red warning, and Discord will then be restarted. This will disable Discord from being able to use your GPU to accelerate Discord for performance. It's completely unnecessary, doesn't speed up Discord whatsoever, and hogs your GPU resources. For the second system maintenance optimization, navigate into the bottom left hand side and type in %temp% just like so and press enter. Within affi, you'll then be brought inside of the Windows dump folder. All caching files, data files, and excess rubbish which isn't actually being used by Windows or any applications gets dumped and stored in this folder until you manually come and delete it. You could be looking at around about up to 80 plus gigabytes of space within affi in which you can free up in an instant. All you need to do is go all the way from the top to the bottom. You might have more files in here than I do, or you might have less. Highlight absolutely everything, right click, select delete. This warning will then come up, hit do this for current items and hit skip. If it comes up again, do the same thing, and after a few short moments you'll be left with a few folders and files inside of here. These are the only folders and files Windows was actually using. Everything else was excess rubbish taking up space on your system. I'd recommend coming in here and doing this around about once every month to 3 months and clearing everything out. That now leads us on to the last 3 performance increases within inside of this entire video, and are arguably the most important 3. To start off with these, we're actually going to be enabling a secret power plan within inside of Windows 10. Some of you might have already unlocked this, and if you have, that's fantastic. Or if you have in the past actually set this secret power plan up, and you've updated Windows, you could find that it's been reset. So whether or not you've never seen this before, or if you've done this before, make sure that it's set up properly by following the steps shown. What we need to do is actually navigate into the bottom left hand side and type in power space plan. Once you guys are inside of there, go to the edit power plan option or choose power plan, doesn't matter what the option says. Within affi, navigate up to the top to the navigation bar and select where it says power options. Go to the show additional power plans within affi, scroll all the way down and you're looking for the ultimate performance power plan. If you've not actually enabled this yourself, you will not be seeing this power plan within inside of Windows. But for any Windows 10 user, you can actually enable this very easily and quickly, as it's a secret ultimate performance power plan found within inside of Windows 10 in which we can unlock. To unlock this power plan, minimize out of the control panel, navigate into the FPS pack provided, go inside of the command text document. Within affi, highlight everything you see all the way from the end to the beginning, select copy, close out of the notepad and close out the FPS pack. Navigate to the bottom left hand side, type in CMD, right click on the command prompt and make sure that you run this as an administrator. If you don't run the command prompt as an administrator, this command will not be recognized and nothing will happen. Once you're inside a command prompt, simply then go ahead and press Ctrl and then V on your keyboard. The command will then be pasted and press enter. You'll then be met with Power Scheme GUID Ultimate Performance and we can exit out of the command prompt. Navigate back down to the control panel which we minimized earlier. This time go to the top right hand side to the refresh button, select that, scroll down and you should now see Ultimate Performance. Select the power plan just like so by clicking on any of them. Once Ultimate Performance has been selected, exit out of the power options as that optimization has now been applied. What we're now going to do is simply apply a Piggyback Optimization to further optimize that power plan within inside of Windows. For this, what we're going to be doing is navigating into the FPS increase pack provided, going inside of the optimizations folder, going to the quick CPU setup and double clicking. At the bottom side of your screen, you'll see a quick explanation and demonstration as to what this program does and why you wish to use it and the benefits from doing so. To install the program, select next, accept the terms, select next, and install. Go ahead and press yes to any options that open up. Make sure that the launch option has been selected and press finish. After a few short moments, the program will open up and you might be prompted to update if there is an update available. I personally never bother doing this. You can update if you wish to do so. There's no harm in doing that. Once you guys are inside of here, to start off, what we're going to be doing is going over to the power plan data at the top left hand side. Go to the system power plan drop down menu, select the ultimate performance power plan in which we set up earlier. Within inside of here, navigate to the bottom left hand side to the core parking index, drag the slider and drag it all the way up to 100%. Do the same thing for the frequency scaling index by dragging the slider all the way up to 100%, and last but not least, go to the turbo boost index and once again drag this all the way up to 100%. Once all of them have been changed, press apply, press OK, and we can then exit out the program as the optimization has now been completed. Before diving into this last and final optimization, it's recommended that you take yourself into the bottom left hand side, right click on the power option and select a system restart. You should restart your system just to make sure that everything has been applied properly, all the Windows settings are completely applied, and you're in a fresh boot of Windows, ready to go ahead and boot into the game to make sure that you guys are getting the best performance. For this, what we're going to be doing is navigating into the FPS pack provided, going inside of the optimizations folder and dragging the folder for the ISLC version 1016 onto the desktop. Within inside of this folder, you'll be finding the Intelligent Standby List Cleaner, or also known as the ISLC. This is a fantastic utility program which can open up in the background, which will help you guys free up any background processes, also freeing up excess RAM to ensure that we always have free RAM for the game to have access to, so nothing gets overly cluttered. And on top of that, it also has the time resolution program, which you might be familiar with if you've seen any of my other content, which allows you guys to reduce the amount of input latency between your hardware, operating system, and the game application itself, overall boosting performance drastically and reducing latency. Boot into the Intelligent Standby List Cleaner by double clicking. 9 times out out of 10, if you double click on the program, it won't open into the desktop. What you need to do is navigate into the bottom right hand side to the task tray and find the small heartbeat monitor looking program found here and double click. But inside of here, to set the program up, your boxes will more than likely be completely blank. If they are or if they aren't, what we need to go ahead and do is start off with the first box on the left hand side. For this box, we're going to be setting this to 1024. For the second box, this is going to be set uniquely to your system specs. This box here needs to be set to half of the value of your total system memory. As you can see your total system memory here at the top. For me, it's 16,000. So half of 16,000 is roughly around about 8,196, which translates to 8 gigabytes. So again, roughly half your number. Once you guys are done with inside of there, check the option for enable time resolution. Go to the wanted time resolution box and set a value of 0.50 and use the delete key to get all of the zeros off the end. Once it matches like this, simply go ahead and go to the top to purge standby list, press start on the bottom right hand side, and we can then minimize the program as the program is now in full effect. All there is left to do now at this point is to get yourself over to Modern Warfare and boot into the game. And there you guys have it. That is my ultimate FPS increase guide for Call of Duty Modern Warfare, allowing you guys to achieve the very best FPS possible regardless of your system specs. And it will be fantastic to know of any of your results, questions, queries or suggestions in that comment section down below. If you guys did enjoy the video and are happy with the results, please do leave a like on the video as it helps me out tremendously. And if you guys do enjoy my content and wish to stay up to date with the channel, please do consider pressing that subscription button alongside the bell notification to be notified instantly of when I upload. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch this video, guys. I've been Panjino, and I'll see you in the next one.